G'day TikTok, I thought I'd just make a quick video about pleats and how I measure them and sew them and all that good stuff. I'm about to do the front door cards for Lhia the gear. I have basically plotted out on my door card there what I want the panel of pleats to look like. This card we're doing rectangular pleats. I like to try and keep my pleats the same size throughout the whole vehicle so it's all cohesive. This time I'm working in metric. I tend to swap between the two. These are 70mm by 35mm, and the panel that I have here roughly sketched out, that is the panel that I want for the door, and it is 8 rectangles wide by 6 rectangles long. So how do we measure that and how do we get it to be the same size as the rest of them? Let me show you. This is the point where you wish you paid attention in maths class because you have to use some braining. So we have 8 pleats across and each one is going to be 70mm, and that gives us 7/8 of 56 plus the zeros 560mm. Then we need to add the seam allowance for each side. So the hem on this side and the hem on this side is 10mm each side, so we're going to put 20mm. Now when you're sewing on a 1/2 inch foam like these are, each one of these lines is going to shrink your piece by about 3mm, so we need to add that 3mm for every line that we stitch. So in this case we're going to have 7 lines at 3mm, which is 21mm, and then we're going to add all of these together, which will give us 601. And because I like to live dangerously, I'm just going to call that 60cm. Then we're going to do the same thing in the other direction. So we have 6 rectangles at 35mm, 6 5s are 30, 6 3s are 18, plus 3 is 21, so it's 210mm, plus our seam allowance either side is 20mm, plus we have 5 rows of stitching at 3mm each, which is 15, and then we add it all together, 210, 230, 245 is 24.5cm. So now we know that our piece of leather for the pleats needs to be 60cm by 24.5cm, and I actually ended up adding a couple of centimeters in both directions because I'm a little bit obsessive about not making things too small. People always say I'm wasting stuff, but you cut it once and if it's too small you're fucked, so make it bigger. And what is actually wasteful is if you cut it too small and you can't use it. Okay, once I've got my piece cut, I'm going to mark the centers on both axes. To do that, I'm just going to fold it in half and take my little notch cutter and do that on all 4 sides. Then once I've got those marks, I'm going to draw a line both directions. If anyone wants to buy me some new pencils for Christmas, knock yourselves out, because every one that I own is about this size now. Okay, so now we have our center mark. I like to plot my pleats from the center outwards rather than going from one side to the other. I like to use a caliper. Is it a caliper or a pair of calipers or a set of calipers? Anyway, either way, I like to use these. If you don't have calipers, you can just use a ruler to measure your little marks and then draw your lines between them. I find the calipers easier because my eyesight's not great, as I keep mentioning. But if you don't have calipers, or this is not something that you intend to do often, then just use a ruler. It works just fine. And there we go. Our pleat panel is all marked out, ready to sew. We're just going to get some sew foam. Now this foam is special foam that has a fabric on the back so your stitches don't pull through. That is critical in this part of the process. If you use the wrong kind of foam, your stitches will not stay in and you will end up with a big mess. Some people call it scrim foam. You can find it online. I'm using a 1/2 inch thick sew foam. I find that gives me a nice plump pleat, and as we know, everyone likes a plump pleat. So when you come to stitch your pleats, you want to start in the center of your piece and work outwards. It doesn't really matter if you go the horizontal or the vertical lines first, just start in the middle and work your way out to the sides. And then when you've done all of your pleat lines, you just want to take your sewing machine and do a line of stitching around the outside right close to the edge, and then you can trim off your excess foam. Then you have a beautiful pleated panel ready to make your amazing door card for your amazing classic car that you're going to do all by yourself because you are a boss. Cheers fucking heaps for watching, guys. I hope that helps someone. See you, love you, bye.